Hi friends, this week, week 4 of our summer library program, we're going to be reading about and learning about mythical creatures. And mythical creatures are animals or beings that exist in mythology, stories, and legends, but they're not real. Some examples of mythical creatures might be a dragon, a unicorn, a troll, a gnome. There are lots and lots of examples, and different countries around the world have different types of mythological creatures that they believe in. But today we're going to be focusing on several different kinds, and they are not real. For example, you might see right behind me there Bigfoot, and Bigfoot is one of the mythological creatures that we hear stories about and people claim to have seen. And we do have him right here in the library, but he's not real. So mythical creatures are things that we hear stories about, we can read about them, but they're not real. One of the stories we're going to read about today is The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot. And this is a fun story, and it's based on another story. When we finish this book, I want you to tell me if you can remember or think about if you can remember what story this is just like. The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot by Scott Mogoon, published by Paula Wiseman Books. This is the story of my friend Ben and how we first met. Wonder who Ben is. This is Ben. Ding, ding, ding. There's Ben right there. And he's riding his bicycle in the woods. Ben liked to tell stories. Look, everyone, it's Bigfoot. Can you see his dog, very scared, looking around for Bigfoot? He liked to tell stories. The baby's crying, wah, wah, wah. Well, I don't see him, she says. And he says, I don't know where he is. A lot he would call out that he saw Bigfoot, and people would be afraid. They would come and look. And that practice made him a pretty good storyteller. And he looked like this, and he sounded like this. Roar, roar. So Ben likes to tell stories about Bigfoot. He even used props. What a tenacious little fellow he was. Do you see how he's digging using a shovel to dig up footprints for the Bigfoot? People came from all over to see Bigfoot. They waited and they waited, but the creature never appeared. He walked right through here, see? After many hours with no sightings, everyone suspected that Ben had made it all up. Bigfoot isn't real. He is real. His feet were this big. He was right here. I saw him. Nobody believes him because they've heard the story too many times before. Now there's Ben sitting there in the woods, and he hears a sound. Crick. I don't ever remember crossing paths with you, Littlefoot, he says. There's Bigfoot, and he calls the boy Ben Littlefoot. I didn't normally talk to a Littlefoot, but there was something about Ben I liked. He was a determined fellow. I also liked his bike. Mind if I take it for a ride, he said. Bigfoot, Ben said. Bigfoot is stealing my bike. Coming with? He asked. And my dog. And Bigfoot's over here just laughing. Alas, no one believed Ben anymore. No one came running. It seemed that Ben found being alone to be a little scary. He's out in the woods by himself. Bigfoot has taken his bicycle and his dog, but he hears ding, ding. Fortunately for Ben, he wasn't alone for long. Ben, where are you? Come home, it's time for dinner. and it was time for me to go home too, says Bigfoot. I'm sorry I created such a ruckus, Ben said, but I really did see him, Mom. Oh, Ben, she said, let's go home. Mom doesn't believe him, does she? So Ben and his family went home and had a hot meal. I don't know what a hot meal is, but I do know that Ben learned the importance of always telling the truth. And he wanted everyone to know that he really had seen me. You see Bigfoot in the trees over there, telling Ben, shh, not to tell that he's there. So the next morning, he set out to prove it. What a tenacious fellow he was. Do you see he's got a camera and a recorder? Do you think he's going to find Bigfoot? Probably not. The boy who cried Bigfoot is like another story, the boy who cried wolf. And in that story also, the boy calls out wolf as to trick the townspeople, and they no longer believe him, and then a wolf really does come. Same thing in this story. Ben, the boy, does see Bigfoot, but no one will believe him because he's tried to trick them so many times before. This story is Night Owl, K-N-I-G-H-T, like a knight in shining armor. There were knights in the long time ago in the Middle Ages, and there are many stories about knights fighting fiery dragons. So let's see what happens in this book, Night Owl. A knight, that's an owl. It's by Christopher Denise, and it's published by Christie Ottaviano Books and Little Brown and Company. Since the day he hatched, Owl had one wish. He wanted to be a knight. Can you see the knights on their horses? And here's little Owl down here, very small compared to the big knights. Every morning before he drifted off to sleep, he imagined himself to be a real knight. He would be brave. He would be clever. and he would have many friends. It was just a dream until one day, knights began to disappear from the castle. So Owl applied for night school, and to everyone's surprise, he was accepted. Owl was an excellent student, but he had a tough time with the sword. See, the sword is bigger than he is, and even the smallest shield was a problem. It fell on him. He's so small. And he had a habit of nodding off during the day. Now, you know, owls stay awake at night, but they sleep in the daytime, so it was hard for him to stay awake. Night school was hard, but Owl worked and worked. He graduated with honor, as all knights do. Do you see all the other great big knights? And here is Owl, Night Owl down here. He's very tiny compared to them. Owl was assigned to the night watch, and he was very good at his job. You can see him there with his eyes wide open as he is checking out, making sure they're safe. The other knights usually fell asleep during the long night watch, but Owl didn't mind. All alone on the castle wall, he finally felt like a real knight. Until late one evening, it was very dark and very, very quiet when Owl heard a strange sound. Whoosh! It sounded like a huge bird flapping its wings. Whoo! Called Owl. He heard the sound again. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Hoo, hoo, he called. Whoosh, hoo, 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 Owl called. Uh-oh. Do you see what's come? A dragon. A dragon is right behind him. Who, me? Said a deep voice. Who, you? Asked Owl. I am a hungry dragon, said the dragon. Owl was very afraid. But because he was now a real knight, and knights are brave, he puffed out his feathers and said, I am an owl. I am a knight of the night watch. See that great big scary dragon? You don't look like a knight, said the dragon. You look like a midnight snack. Owl's feathers trembled. But because he was a real knight, and knights are clever, he said, "You don't want me. I am too small, hardly even a mouthful." "A mouthful is enough," said the dragon. "I'm all feathers and fluff," said Owl. "A great dragon like you needs something tastier and more filling." How about pizza instead? It turned out that the dragon loved pizza. They talked about how each of them had hatched from eggs, how much they liked the nighttime, and how flying was hard to explain to someone who had never done it before. They really had a lot in common. You see the knight and the dragon eating pizza by the fire. The following week, not a single knight disappeared, or the week after that, and every night Owl patrolled the walls. It was very dark and very, very quiet, but Owl didn't mind because he was brave, he was clever, and he had many friends. You see, the dragon is now his friend, and there's another knight, little bitty dragons. So he was brave and clever, and he had many friends. The end. I hope you enjoyed the book Night Owl by Christopher Denise.